Let's take a minute to hear a word from our sponsor for this week's Ag Report, Elite Tire.
Elite Tire and Automotive. Ever have one of those days you just need a little hand? Well, with our remote services, we'll just hop right on it. Get you back on the road quick and easy. With automotive services to cover all your mechanical needs. Need that state inspection done? Well, we can do that too. So roll on in and see a friendly face. Give us a call and we can be right on the spot to assist you. So trust the friendly folks down at Elite Tire and Automotive, 972-775-1055.
Now let's join our host, John Paldenine, in the studio with this week's Ag Report.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to this week's Ag Report. So, y'all may have seen or may not have seen, maybe you went out and mowed your yard last week, and then you came back this week, because it's been raining pretty good, and you maybe you mow it every Friday or Saturday or something, and you thought, well, my yard didn't really grow this week, and maybe my yard looks different. It's kind of twiggy. There's not really leaves on there. Well, Armyworms have been marching across Ellis County, marching across Texas for that matter. In the last couple of weeks, I have talked to folks that maybe out west of Maypearl that had some issues 2 weeks ago or so. And then there's a lot of people in the downtown Waxahachie area, the proper area, I guess you would call it, that in the last 7 days or so have really noticed it. So we've got with us today Mark Arnold, the county extension agent. And so we're going to talk a little about these worms, maybe what you can do to kind of treat them, how to break up that life cycle. It's not a very easy thing to do. So Mark, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. We appreciate the invite, and we've heard from not only ag producers with agricultural fields or hay fields, but also lots of homeowners as well. And nobody's really been immune to these things. The weather conditions have been right. Anytime we have a lot of rainfall like we've had this past summer and going into early fall, when you've got a lot of lush green grass, the conditions are right for armyworm outbreaks, and sometimes we can see up to 4 or 5 generations of these things a year. But like I said, conditions have been right. There's been ample food for these things, and so Mother Nature just kind of takes advantage of that, and at our expense, whether it be our lawns, our hay fields, etc. There, and you were right when you said, they saved me a mowing at my house, anyways. They've definitely been doing some damage.
Yes. Well, a couple of important things that you mentioned there. So hay fields, folks that are looking to purchase hay, they need to kind of be aware that this has been a struggle of a year to produce quality hay. The prices are going to be a little higher. We missed first cutting a lot of it because of the rain, that kind of stuff. So that they've only really gotten one cutting off there. They were kind of hoping for a good fall cutting, but then these worms have come in there. And if they have, gone into treat, which usually means 2 spray-ins, maybe more, that adds to money. So those producers need to be prepared to pay a little extra for good hay if they can find it in there. And then the other key thing I think you were mentioning is that life cycle. That's the hard thing about these things to kill. You're killing what's growing, but you got eggs. And you got different stages of growth in there that, to my understanding, takes different application rates to get those mature ones versus those immature worms. Is that correct?
You're right. When they first start out, they're relatively small, less than a ½ inch. And a lot of times people don't see them at that time. So they don't see them until those things have gotten mature. But if we can get in there and scout those fields, scout those yards, etc., and get them when they're small, the application rates, the insecticidal application rates are going to be less, and also less expensive, less harmful, or less intrusive on the environment, etc. But the thing is as those things they'll feed for 2 to 3 weeks, and then they'll pupate and go into the moth stage, and then that moth emerges and may lay up to 2,000 eggs at a time, when it comes back out. And again, we may see those generations 3, 4, 5 times. But the last 2 to 3 days of that worm's life, when it's still in the larval stage, it will consume about 80% of what it's going to eat in its whole time there. So very voracious feeders and eaters the last 2 to 3 or 4 or 5 days of its life there. So again, those bigger ones are going to be tougher to control than the small ones. So we do need to go out there and start looking for those things if you're suspecting some issues. A cloudy day you can see them actually out on the leaf. If it's real hot and dry, a hot sunny day, you may have to move some of that canopy around at the base of the forage as well to kind of see them. And oftentimes, they will bury up underneath the soil a little bit during a real hot day. So just know where to kind of look for them and how to scout for those things. And then as far as a threshold to be thinking about, when you start finding 2 to 3 of those worms per square foot, that kind of triggers some things depending on the crop, the value of that crop, the maturity of that crop, and life stages, etc. there. So, but that's kind of our threshold that we want to look at, is about 2 to 3 worms per square foot. And a lot of these lawns, a lot of these pastures, that's not an issue at all. They've reached that threshold quadruple or tenfold in some instances there. So
even crossing the sidewalks, I have seen more than 2 per square foot. And you talk about being a voracious eater. I was really surprised. Had a local Facebook friend that planted about 6 or 8 acres worth of pumpkins, and she had just harvested some about a week ago or so, and then had another picture just a few days ago where they had gone in and eaten into the pumpkins and eaten all the vines. And I had no idea they would go after, you think of a pumpkin as being kind of hardy, but there were veins and trails all through those pumpkins, and just ate her out of house and home basically. And so it's important. We need to scout for these things, watch for them. Are there products that the normal consumer can go and purchase without a license?
As far as homeowners concerned, depending on the size of that product at the lawn and garden store, if it's in a quart container or smaller, most all the same active ingredient products that we can utilize in an agronomic situation are probably going to be available as well. But some of the real more common ones, 7, malathion, the Tempo products, several things there. But we've got a complete list available at our office, and also I think we've got that list up on our website as well. But most, they are an insect, and they're relatively easy to control. The thing is, you've got to get that lethal dose to them, and some of these products, those worms have to actually consume that insecticide in order to get that lethal dose. Just spraying it out there, and you think you got it on them, that may or may not take care of them. Some of them have to actually consume, so that goes back. They're going to continue to eat for another day or two before they actually control them. So catching them early, is going to be the key to this, or the key to saving some of these more valuable agronomic crops.
Right. And, it feels like this might be a little early in the season. Is that correct? Normally we're kind of scouting this when we're sowing wheat, late September, 1st of October. So if our weather conditions hold, could we be dealing with this for the next 90 days or something like that?
You're exactly right. Normally, we don't see this till either late August or early September. And here we are, we start seeing them late July, 1st of August on that deal. So, yes, given the fact that, there are multiple generations, some years we can see up to 5 generations. And this very well could be one of them, just because of the wet weather patterns that we've been having, this summer and so forth. So, yes, normally we don't see them until the Bermuda grass greens up when it starts raining in 1st September. We're getting ready to plant some winter pasture, some ryegrass or some other winter pasture. usually that's when we see them, and it hits that. But this time we're a little earlier than that. So
good deal. Mark, I appreciate you sharing with us today. If you would, maybe give that website and your phone number, so if folks would like to do some reading and see that list of products, they can access that.
You bet. Feel free to give us a holler and or visit that website. It's the Ellis County A&M AgriLife Extension website. Our phone number here in Waxahachie is 972-825-5175, and just feel free to give us a call. And we've got some stuff posted to our website. A&M in general, this is a problem across the state. So most any and all the AgriLife Extension offices across the state have got similar information, but we can sure get that to you and hopefully give you something to fight them with.
Yep. And this is, like you said, it's not only across the state, but it really crosses the lines of a producer or a homeowner. You've got yards, you've got flowers and shrubbery. This is important for you. So thank you again, sir. Really appreciate your time. Y'all
My
take
pleasure,
care.
and thank you.
Yes, sir.